is the number one question that people ask you when they find out that you own Honeymoon?
Where did you come up with the name?
Exactly.
So I'm interested in how you would actually answer this question, because especially if they're asking you, like you when I'm not around. What do you say when I'm not around?
Well, I have to eat some humble pie because I was the one, like I have the most vivid memory of us being in California that summer.
Of
Sometime
2016?
of 2016, before we'd actually opened the shop. And we were jogging. We were jogging to a donut shop. I mean, why not?
Was this in San Clemente?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Do you remember this run? Okay.
I remember the donuts, but I don't know where you're going with this.
We were talking about the name, and I was like, oh, I just want something so fresh and so clean. And I love honeydew melons. What if we have that little cute mint green color and it's called Honeydew, D-E-W, not D-O. But now looking back, like I know how stupid that sounds because people are going to think like honeydew, like a honeydew list.
Yeah.
But for some reason I didn't put it together. And then I also was very insistent on having a plus sign in the middle of honey and dew.
Yes.
So then people weren't even pronouncing it the way that I was, which was honeydew coffee.
Oh,
and they
I
were
remember
saying
our first
honey
media.
and dew.
I remember our first media experience when Angie Humphrey was like introducing us, and you were like all nervous, and then she said, "Zach and Jessica with Honey and Dew Coffee Company."
And we both just looked at each other. Oops. Yeah. So you live and you learn, and ended up. I think we were only open probably a month, and we were so small. I mean, we were maybe getting like $200 or $300 in sales in a day, but we get this corporate letter in the mail. It's like certified mail, and you're out of town.
Yeah, was it like to the attorneys of Honeydew Coffee Company
which
or
we
something
had
like
none.
that?
We had no attorney.
To the legal representation.
Interestingly, as I was opening the paperwork, I was at the shop, and our customer was Doug, who ended up being our attorney. So I'm opening this and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I know he's an attorney, so I just show it to him, which is probably super annoying for him.
Shout out to Doug Briotti, Esquire.
Attorney at law.
I don't know if he's an Esquire or not, but it sounded good.
I think he is. I don't know. But anyway, apparently there was a donut shop on the East Coast called, was it Honeydew Donuts?
Yeah, Honeydew Donuts. DEW, exactly.
Yeah, but not even Honeydew Coffee. It was like Honeydew Donuts. But because they served coffee and because we had no money, we decided that there was nothing that we could do to really fight this big franchise corporation. So
who was I with when I found out this news when you got the letter? So I was in California. Who was I with?
Oh, you were with Guy Raz.
Yeah, my best friend, my bro, Guy Raz.
Stop, he doesn't even know who you are.
No, he doesn't. We were at TED Women, which was
yes,
like
Zach was at TED Women.
That's right. I was like one woman for every, or 5 women for every like one man. So like there were 10 women around Guy Raz and I at the time. I'm just kidding. I think I was just fanboying out, over him, and he had done the TED Radio Hour at that point and just launched his new How I Built This podcast. And I think I was just telling him the story of how we started our company, and you texted and I was like, okay, literally my wife, you weren't my wife, what would I have said? My girlfriend, my fiance,
That sounds so weird.
my business partner. I don't know. This chick just texted me and says that we got this cease and desist, and he was like, wow. And his producer Jeff Rogers was there too, and he's like, Guy, this could be a really cool story. And he's like, yeah. Well, I hope it all works out. Let's stay in touch. And, I don't remember if we recorded a How I Built This podcast episode, but I don't think we did.
No. This would be the
happened.
extent of our podcasting. Yeah. But I would be so excited because I love that podcast.
Now, back to the Life and Times of Guy Raz podcast with Zach and Jessica, the fans. Okay, now, sorry, go back to the part of the story that you were going to go back to.
I just remember running to that donut shop, and
was there a honeydew on the side of the road?
No.
Like what?
No.
Was the mint green color? Like it was just in your head? We were talking?
I really liked the name Clementine.
I remember that.
And like the orange and like the freshness of that.
Yeah.
And then I also liked like the honeydew melon. And so it just kind of went from there. So on this run, I am like very adamant that we name it this, and you were very adamant that we name it Honeymoon. And it's just so much of, if you could see how all of our decisions go with this company, it's like one of us is very passionate, the other one's very passionate, and then we have to come to this agreement.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's you're more passionate than I am, and sometimes I'm more passionate than you are. And anyway, when people ask me, I do admit that I was wrong and that Honeymoon's a way better name.
So we were like a couple, like if our pace was a little bit faster, we could have been like Rainbow Sprinkles coffee shop or something like donut related if we would have made it to the donut shop before you had that epiphany.
Maybe, except I hate donuts, so.
You hated them so much that you ran to them that day. You do hate donuts. We were getting donuts for the
We were
kids.
getting donuts for the kids,
rest of the
not for
family.
me,
That's what it was, yeah.
We
Well,
were running there fast because they had coffee, and we hadn't had coffee yet.
Well, one of the things that I am fine with, I own it, is like I have a very high meaning making like tendency. And I remember when we finally, landed on Honeydew, I was like, well, maybe we could spell it like D-U-E. And it's really like, it's Honey D over by UE,
Oh my
which
gosh,
is the University
that's
of
so
Evansville.
ugly.
I know, but there was like, I needed it to have some sort of meaning other than the
Other than
fact
I
that
just
it
thought it was
sounded
cute.
fresh. That was the word you used. It was like, oh, honeydews, those are fresh. And I don't even think you like the taste of them all that much.
I don't. I never eat them.
Yeah.
I just like the way they look.
Well, there you go. So the end of the story is that because we'd already sort of started our domain name and our social media accounts and just the word honey, and we used honey in a lot of our drinks, so we sort of maintained that, and that I had sort of pushed for a more romantic
Yeah,
name.
I mean, we were, I think, engaged by that point, and so again, it just made so much more sense to have the name Honeymoon as opposed to Honeydew.
Well, the part of the story that we don't tell that much is the song that we used to like send each other back and forth and play. So there's this like super cheesy song called Goodnight Moon, and I love it. I don't know if you still love it.
I don't
When was the last
still
time you
love
listened
it.
to it? Do you don't?
I mean, it's just I overplayed it. I'm sorry, babe. Do you want me to be more nostalgic?
It's okay. I'm nostalgic enough for the two of us. But we had kind of like a moon theme, and we would like send each other little emojis of like, hey, here's a crescent moon emoji. That means I'm thinking of you. And then you would send me the one facing the other direction.
Yeah.
And we just
Waning and waxing.
That's right. So it was like the moon was meaningful to us, and the honey part felt right. And then, we became Honeymoon, and the rest is history.
The Honeymoon Coffee Company podcast is brought to you by the Honeymoon Coffee Company. With 3 coffee shop locations in the Evansville, Indiana area, there might just be one close to you. And if not, then maybe it's time for that road trip. It is a new moon, and that means that it's time for a new bubble waffle. And for this lunar cycle, we have the Powerberry waffle. This summery waffle is packed with fresh fruits like bananas, strawberries, blueberries, and acai, along with a sprinkle of granola and a honey drizzle on top. You can get this either on the light or dark waffle from now until the next new moon. We are still on our summer hours with no upcoming events or holidays to report. Check the Google Maps listings for the most up-to-date hours anytime you're planning a trip. We're still featuring our summer drink lineup, all of which can be found on our Facebook or Instagram pages. And for all other things Honeymoon, you can go to our website at honeymooncoffeeco.com.
Should we what?
Should we use our British accents?
Do you think people will recognize that as British?
Yeah, no, my accents are pretty bad. You're really good at it though.
Yeah, it's all right. So anyway, the reason we're talking about British accents is that was one of the fun things that actually happened in the last year for us at our newest location. As of right now, our newest
what is
location.
today?
Yeah, today. I'll start with a question. Today is the 4th of July.
What else is today?
Merca's birthday.
That wasn't what I was looking for.
Keep asking. I'll keep coming up with weird things.
What else is today?
Today is the first birthday or anniversary, depending on what you want to celebrate, of the Newburgh location. This is when we opened 1 year ago today.
Yeah, it's a fun day. So it's like almost 3 o'clock, and me and Zach are going in at 4. to work like the final shift of the day.
Yeah, we haven't put ourselves on the schedule to work a shift. Well, definitely not me. You've worked some more shifts than I have.
Yeah, we've been overstaffed though, so I haven't been working a lot of shifts.
Yeah. Holidays are a little tricky because, you don't want to necessarily... You've got to balance what customer expectations might be in terms of being open.
Right.
And what staff expectations might be in terms of, having the day off to, do what they want to do.
Yes. So 2 of our 3 locations are closed today. But because it's Newburgh's birthday, we decided to keep it open.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk today about sort of looking back on the last year that was, and even maybe trying to remember how Newburgh came to be. So do you want to start? When was the moment when the idea of a Newburgh location became a possibility for you?
So I'll start with saying that I wasn't looking to open a Newburgh store. I did grow up in Newburgh, so it's very familiar to me.
It's like your hometown.
Yeah, we live right outside of Newburgh now, but I still consider it like hometown. So we were actually approached by another couple that owned a coffee shop in Newburgh, in downtown Newburgh. And they were thinking about kind of passing the torch to Honeymoon. They had other businesses, and it was kind of a pet project. They really had done it more for the community than anything else. And so anyway, they approached us, was that January of 2021? Yeah, 2021, I think.
Sounds right.
And, talked to us about it, kind of got the wheels turning a little bit where we were like, is this something that we could pull off? I know that that's kind of like where I'm at right now. Just a little like side note is I'm always thinking like, do we need to grow more? Do I want to grow more? And so this was kind of one of those just like opportunities that was presented. And even though it didn't work out that we would take over their business and their shop, it got us thinking about Newburgh. And there were so many people that wanted a shop in Newburgh.
Yeah. Well, can I build on that? Because I think, I was with you when they were asked. I know you used the royal me, and you meant we, but...
Sorry about that.
I was with you when they asked you. Apparently, I was allowed to be an observer of this invitation.
You were a fly on the wall.
And I think it was fairly quickly as we became open to it, we were like, yeah, you know what? This feels right. Let's do it. And so it was a yes from us. And then as they had to do some more of their next steps of transferring the lease, of that building.
I forgot about that.
That's when it kind of fell apart, and it said, well, actually, the lease transfer isn't going to be available. And so the whole deal is kind of dead, and that location was going to close.
Yes, I totally forgot about that. I didn't really remember how we didn't end up in that building, but you're right. But it wasn't possible for us to move into that building.
So we had sort of opened up our minds and possibilities for that. Mm-hmm. And then once we let ourselves imagine what that would be like and started planning for it and, how we might staff it and, what members of our team, we might be sort of investing in to train up, then all of a sudden it was like that location, that opportunity was no longer on the table. So then the next step was, well, now that we know for sure that that coffee shop is going to close, that
right.
leaves a vacuum in the community for a local coffee shop in downtown Newburgh. So then you're looking at real estate, saying what's available for lease or purchase in downtown Newburgh.
There was not anything, I don't think.
Do you need me to? Do you need me to fill all the details in the story? There was something available, and we toured it.
Crap, you're right.
It's okay. All right.
I didn't like it.
There was a space available. I believe it was for lease. Was it purchase or lease? I'll see if you remember this part.
It was lease.
It was actually on the walking trail, but it didn't have a great view of the water.
No.
So that was something that we knew. Gosh, it's hard to talk without knowing what we landed on, what our thought process was with that. But
Well, I think our thought process is, when it's right. It's almost like anything like house searching. Like I think you find something where in your gut it feels right. And this place,
Which
just
is interesting because
right.
when you came to this house for the first time, you hated it. Your gut said, "Hell no!"
You made me buy this house, and I
And now,
hated it at first.
And now
that I've done some remodeling, it's really cute.
Yeah.
And it works well for our family.
So, making this story way too long already is just realizing that it wasn't a full body yes, even though West Luttrell hadn't given us that term yet. We didn't have the full body yes to move forward with that space.
Yeah,
but
and
then,
that's really something we use all the time now.
Yeah. Shout out to Wes. Well done. But with that, I think it was me, maybe you can correct me, where I sort of asked you, since this was your hometown, I was like, taking into account not just what's on the market, but even like what's not on the market, if you could choose any location or build something down here on a piece of land, what would be your number one choice? If the fact that it wasn't available wasn't an obstacle, what would you want to do downtown?
Well, and then there was a building that I had always looked at and thought, not that it wasn't cute, it was a little ice cream shop, but it was closed a lot. So they closed
It's a seasonal business.
It was a seasonal business. So very different from us where we're open almost every single day.
And I think you're right. I think it was January, maybe we're into February at this point. So where this business, at the time that we're considering this, is closed at the time.
Yeah, they were closed. And so I decided that I knew they were an older couple that owned it. And I was just like, just on an off chance that they would be
Gosh, you make them sound like they're ancient. Okay, let's say older relative to us.
Okay, they were at retirement age.
Okay, that's. I feel like that's a little more kind.
I wasn't trying to be mean.
We just had 13 65-year-olds just hang up their podcast app and say, "How dare you?"
Okay, well, anyway, they were
near retirement age. Yeah, sure.
And so I decided, I got their email address from someone else that I knew in Newburgh, and I decided just to cold email them, which is not something that I don't think I've ever done that before.
No, but it's weird because it's kind of like when we opened the wine box shop. Like
I had a feeling.
Yeah, you're not a touchy feely woo kind of person, but then when you get locked into something, you turn into me times 10. And you're like this bulldozer.
Yeah, and then I'm like, let's negotiate and let's figure this out.
But okay, so you sent him a cold email, but you left it in a way that you weren't bulldozing. You were just saying,
no,
hey,
I was just
if
saying,
you're ever
like,
considering selling this property or
Right.
leasing it, we'd be interested. Here's my contact information.
Yeah, and at that
left it
time
at
we
that.
said either one, because at that point we were just leasing the two locations that we had. So kind of one of our goals was to own the next place that we had, so
The
that
real
we
estate.
were own the actual building, and we weren't just paying rent every month. So I think in the email I did say, though, just either way, like even if you're just thinking about leasing it, we'd also be interested in buying the building. Of course, we had no idea how much it would cost. We were just kind of throwing that out there.
My conservative partner here, when she gets her mind on something, there are no limits.
Well, anyway, it worked out, didn't it?
Yeah, well, fair enough. I'm. Please continue. Sorry to interrupt. Just had to count that one in there.
I mean, you're a better storyteller than I am.
No.
I would make it really short, but long story short, how about that? We went back and forth on the price for a couple of months.
Well, okay, so I'm going to make the story a little longer. They actually didn't reply for several months.
They didn't. That's right. Yeah.
So you
there
sent
was
this
just
cold
like
email, and then it went into an abyss of silence.
And during that silence, we weren't out looking for another place.
Yeah,
we were just
we were
busy running
managing
our
the
own
rest of our
stores.
business.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's right. They did reply to my email several weeks later. I was thinking it was maybe 2 months later.
Yeah, I think so.
And then from there, we started the process of like, hey, can we even finance, or like, do we qualify?
I think if I remember right, it was funny because Ben had kind of responded to the email, and then when we met him in person, it wasn't like he was needing to be convinced to maybe be open to selling. He was like, hey, do you want to buy our restaurant, across the parking lot as well?
Yeah, so they had a restaurant and an ice cream shop, like all in the same like parcel of land.
Yeah.
And so they ended up selling both of it, and so they were ready to
Yeah.
retire.
Unbeknownst to us, they had been considering this stage in their kind of approach towards retirement, and whether it would be sort of a combo sale or what it ended up being, which was sort of separating the two businesses and the properties. We unintentionally catalyzed that retirement
Yes.
with your email, which
Yeah.
started conversations between them, which ultimately started conversations and negotiations between us, and then we finally landed on a price.
So here we are. let's just make it a little shorter.
So here we are. Yeah.
We
But it did take the full year. The
Yeah.
actual signature for the purchase of that property was on December 31st, 2022.
It did take a long time. And I will just say for the record, there's been so many opportunities where we've walked in and thought we wanted to be in a space, only for it not to work out and us to find something better. So that's just like an interesting like little life lesson that I feel like now whenever something doesn't work out, it's not like I'm crushed about it, because I think there's just always going to be something
Yeah.
different.
I
It'll
think
be different.
You're definitely better at that than me. Yeah. I
You
fall
get
in love
you
with
fall
things.
in love, you get emotionally attached.
Yeah.
It's a whole spiral.
Yeah. But in this case, we fell in love with this building. We entered into a purchase agreement. I think we finally closed on the building sometime in the mid-spring of 2022.
It was March.
I would call that mid-spring.
I know, but I just was giving you the exact month.
Get the exact date in there. And then that began the process of some demolition and remodeling and sort of manifesting the vision that you had for the space that you wanted to see, with the goal of having it be a year-round coffee first, ice cream second type of shop that would
Yes.
open sometime that summer of 2022 and
So
try and stay open the entire year.
we've always known, I mean, obviously everyone knows that coffee is typically a morning business. So to have something that would work in the evening, like ice cream or beer or wine, we had tried beer and wine. It didn't really ever take off. Because we took over an ice cream shop, people were already accustomed to going to it as an ice cream shop. It was an easy transition to kind of get like the double whammy of sales in the morning of, coffee and our food items, and then sales in the evening of our ice cream. And, people are buying drinks and stuff all the way through, but I would say the majority of our nighttime sales are ice cream.
Yeah. Anything that stands out to you in terms of that construction, process and, building up the team, deciding how you sort of staff something like this? I feel like that's like a pretty important detail that we needed to make sure that because we didn't just...
We started hiring, we started staffing up, I would say, a month or two before we thought we were going to open in Newburgh. We hired our first salary folks in that year.
Yeah.
So we actually had some bandwidth to give some tasks over to them and have them help build the crew, help train the crew. And so that was nice for us, because we did have to do a lot of construction as well.
Yeah.
We weren't like just
We were out
flush
there
with cash.
Yeah, we were swinging hammers and sawing boards and painting walls and a lot of it.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the staff and team, we had some people that had shown promise in a leadership capacity and needed sort of a place to grow into.
Yeah.
And we're able to identify those people and propose that to them, and then have some of our existing, management team pour into them and develop them and prepare them and say, all right, this is coming, for the next few months. Get ready, because you're about to get your own shop.
Yeah, and we had some really fun times with like painting parties, and I mean, all of them helped us put together every table, chair, booth, bench.
Women in STEM.
But I will say, I do think that we grew as leaders the most that we have ever grown last year.
2022.
22, yeah. it was like we were both putting our full energy, and like before we've both had to have other jobs,
Yeah.
and we were like full court press. Our team needs us. They need leaders, and we dove in deeper.
You had just gone full time with the coffee shop and had left your other career, what, in 2021? End of 21?
Beginning.
Beginning of 21? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I left my other full-time job in the beginning of 2022. So yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been right
Yeah.
when we were both
Yeah.
saying like, okay, honeymoon is our thing. This is what we need
And
to.
it made a big difference.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, like, I look back at some of our earlier years, and we didn't do justice to, like, our managers. We did not lead them well.
Yeah.
Because we both had other jobs, and we were trying to do all of these other things.
So we were able to lead well, or better than we did before, in your opinion.
We leveled up.
And-
We have ways to go.
I also think that it's a testament to the leaders at our other shops, because that location required so much of our attention, and we basically said like, hey, Newburgh is going to get all the attention.
Mm-hmm.
So Weinbach and Burkhart, you're going to have to be able to hold your own and, come to us if there's like a real emergency. But in the meantime, step up and see this as an opportunity, to lead on your own. And I feel like our leaders in those locations really did that.
They really did. And super proud of all of them. We couldn't have done it without them. And now we're in the same spot again.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird to be talking about Newburgh and know that we are doing this again right now.
Yeah.
Like we're in the middle of it.
We're in a construction phase of our fourth location on the west side of Evansville
And we
right now
told-
in 2023.
We told our current managers, hey, to be able to focus on this.
Get ready to be abandoned. Hope you don't have abandonment issues because you're about to get abandoned again.
Yeah, but they're all good. And I was just thinking, yeah, it won't be too much longer, and we'll start having painting parties again. Now
we had the
things
4th of
are
July sale
starting-
at Lowe's, and we got
We've got 20 gallons of paint.
gallons of paint.
That's
And
a lot of paint.
paint's not as cheap as it was when we were kids.
I'm scared it's going to spill in my car.
Yeah. So we actually did a soft opening for Newburgh in June, early June, and because we did sort of reach that pain point of looking at the bank account and what the construction costs had been, and the revenue is not coming in until the doors are open, and so both to let the staff get sort of acclimated a little bit and to have some revenue, we opened up for I think 3 or 4 weeks to takeout only.
Yeah, it was like we were still working on the dining room.
Yes.
So it wasn't done.
But
But
the-
the bar area was
Yes,
done.
yes, and the town of Newburgh allowed us to have our license to operate business and to serve food and drink to people, and so we got that started, and then we said like we need to pick a date. What's a good date up ahead, and Lady Liberty's birthday was staring right at us, just jumping
And
out.
now we have to work on 4th of July every year.
Yeah.
'Cause we'll be like, oh, it's our anniversary.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And then they canceled the fireworks down there, though. It's sad.
It is sad, but
Because that would have been fun tonight to be.
it would have been amazing.
And then what are we doing after we work our shift tonight?
We're going to stay in the Airbnb, which at one point when we were looking at this building and we looked at the upstairs of it and saw that it was being used as kind of a storage space, thought, yeah, the view from this balcony is way better than what a place to store files and Christmas decorations would warrant.
Yes. And I think it's very romantic to have an Airbnb over a coffee shop.
Yeah. The Airbnb has been kind of an objective, unequivocal success.
Right.
People have given us, I think we're close to like probably 70 different guests now, and all but one have given us a 5-star rating. I think we have 1 4-star rating.
4-star,
and
but they really liked it.
they really loved it, but and we could have a whole episode
didn't have an
about
iron at that point.
ratings,
What a
for
problem.
your experiences. But yeah, we're going to stay in our Airbnb tonight, and we hope to make this, a tradition, for our relationship and our business, and just to remember, the year that was the first year at Newburgh, which we really didn't talk about much of the highlights that happened this year.
Should we hit a few?
I mean,
Is it too late?
I don't know. Maybe everyone who cares about it is staying listening, and if they don't care, they've already turned off this podcast.
We did have our biggest day ever.
It was that day, right?
No, we've since passed it, but we had
Well,
our...
obviously,
okay.
up till that
Got
day,
you.
yeah.
Yes.
So we set a record on opening day. So opening day of Newburgh turned out
bigger than any day we'd ever had at our
the biggest
other two
sales day
stores.
in any honeymoon location ever, which shocked us.
Yes.
And then it exceeded that number 3 or 4 different times the rest of the summer. And now in, July 4th, 2023, it's actually exceeded that a couple of times already this summer.
Yeah.
So when the weather is nice and people in downtown Newburgh are out and about, they embrace and patron the Honeymoon Coffee Company location.
I want to give you credit for something, though,
Okay.
that you were actually right about.
I'm bracing myself
I know. So when we first opened, Zach wanted to be open every single day. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is way too much. We're going to be working all the time. But I think you were right. And when I saw downtown Newburgh, it's a lot of shops are closed on Sunday and Monday. And so it's just getting like the town is very appreciative that we're open. It's like a place that they know that they can bring family to. And like in the end, we made it work.
Yeah.
We've hired people to help us, so we're not working every single day. And you were right. I just want to tell you that.
Wow. And we got it on the record. Well, thanks, babe. I appreciate you saying that. And speaking of appreciation, one of the things that I do remember from those early days was the feedback that we got from customers when they would see us and recognize us as the owners is they would come up and they would say, thank you. Say, thank you for bringing this to our community. And they would tell us how great our staff is, which is true. Oh, yeah. Which we already knew that part.
Yeah.
And
shout out to them because we have a lot of the same people that are still there and just doing a great job.
But that was surprising to have.
We didn't have that with our other 2 openings.
Yeah. Because both of those were situations to where it was previously a coffee shop that had just failed.
Yes.
And so it was almost kind of like, what are you doing? Like, obviously coffee shop didn't
Doesn't
work here.
Yeah.
And there was some trepidation on our part that we were displacing a beloved institution, a beloved ice cream institution. Mm-hmm. But it ended up, it turned out, especially, and I think it's because of what you said of being open 7 days a week. We're there for people to have the experiences that they want to have with their family, their friends, themselves, and well,
I'm looking forward to working with you tonight, babe.
All right, well, me too.
Let's do it.
All right, love you.
All right, bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show this week. If you'd like to learn more about Honeymoon Coffee Company, check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. If you'd like to submit a question for a future episode, visit honeymooncoffeeco.com/podcast. This podcast was produced by Wally Opus with editing by Brooklyn Hoffeditz, music composed by Sam Cuban, and project management by me, Wesley Luttrell. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back again soon.
Are you still listening? Babe,
Yeah?
how was 4th of July?
It was exhausting. How did you think it went?
Oh my gosh, I kicked my butt so hard.
I think I'm still sore.
Oh, yeah, we tried to give our employees a break, and it nearly broke me.
Yeah. Kudos to our employees who know how to efficiently shut down the shop.
Yeah, and thank you to our customers who showed up on the 4th of July, fireworks or no. They came out in force, and we had a huge day, and it exhausted us.
Do you want to do this again next year?
I'll tell you on the 3rd of July.